Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I'll let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, The Ultimates, issue number 9 from Marvel Comics. This is written by Dennis Camp with artwork from Chris Allen, who is a guest artist on this book. But I thought this book was really solid. Now, it is a little bit of a light week. A lot of the books I read were pretty solid. Some were just kind of okay, and some were kind of dudsy. But The Ultimates, to me, shone above and beyond the rest of them. Now, I love what Dennis Camp, the writer's been doing in the pages of The Ultimates. He's able to have a solid foundation of thematic reasoning and relevance, and at the same time still deliver us a scintillating Marvel comic, and that's what's going on here. Here we are being introduced to the new Ultimate Luke Cage. This is a dude who's been in prison for the last 20 years, right? But he also gets a visit from Tony Stark, Iron Lad, the ultimate Iron Man in this world, with the idea that, yo, you should have been a superheroed individual. You should have been one of the greats, but instead they kept you locked up in prison by the machinations of the Maker. Here you go. But what I love about this book is what Luke Cage decides to do with that power, and also the reflection of what power means, especially in the hands of those without power. I loved the thematic relevance of this book. I love the subtext. I thought all of it was top-notch. I love the use of the 9-panel grid. This is Dennis Camp. He knows how to use a 9-panel grid. He knows the importance of it. He knows how to use it the right way. And when we're dealing with a book where the majority of it takes place behind prison bars, well, the 9-panel grid is a perfect representation of that boxed-in, claustrophobic existence, but at the same time also giving us a really interesting, fresh, yet true to the heart and true to the core of the character look at Luke Cage. This was amazing. I thought the art was pretty solid. It wasn't the greatest in the pages of the Ultimates so far. I do think the Phil Noto the penciled issue number 4 was the best art we've had in this book, but this was super top-notch. Another hit from my boy, Dennis Camp, Ultimates issue number 9. And that's a great cover too, but it's not the cover of the week. Also from Marvel, we have Star Wars Legacy of Vader issue number 1. Y'all, check it out. I read a Star Wars book, and guess what? I thought it stank. I thought it sucked. I hated this book. I thought it was just so meandering. It was so worthless. It was so not important. But you know what? If you're a huge Star Wars fan, and in particular a big fan of the newer sequel trilogy, if you're a big fan of Kylo Ren, definitely check it out. The book is about that. The book is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it takes place between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, which is obviously everybody's favorite era of Star Wars. But it's about Kylo Ren trying to understand the legacy of Vader, who Vader was. He goes and finds his castle and blah, 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 and he kind of hopes that Vader's going to be his Jor-El or something like that. It was okay. I felt it was clunky at best. It was okay. It had decent moments in the art, but all in all, do we really care about Kylo Ren anymore? Now, I'll tell you a story. Just like with Phantom Menace. When Phantom Menace first came out, 1999, that's the year I graduated high school. I was so pumped for the Phantom Menace. I remember going to see the trailer multiple times in front of other movies and being obsessed with it. I bought all the action figures. I got all the Taco Bell meals so I could get the Taco Bell toys, and I could get the cups, and I could get the poster that you can make. There were like 4 little posters you can make with all of them. I had a Darth Maul poster. I have a Duel of the Fates poster. I thought Darth Maul was the most badass dude ever. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's all they're doing with that. Wow. Cut to whatever it is, 2015, I don't remember when The Force Awakens comes out, but whenever that movie was coming out, You know what? Fool me once, fool me twice. I did the same thing with Kylo Ren. I had a Kylo Ren t-shirt. I had a Kylo Ren poster. I had Kylo Ren everything. I was obsessed with Kylo Ren. And then you watch all three of those movies and you're like, oh. So if you felt otherwise, if you thought Kylo Ren was like awesome, you read this book. Hey y'all, I did it. I read a Star Wars book for you. So there you go. Tell me if you want me to read another one. Then we got Power Man Timeless issue number 1. This is a new miniseries spinning out of the recent Timeless event by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Same team here. You do have Bernard Chang on the art, and I do like the art. Basically, it was Timeless was like another reality where there was like an old man, Luke Cage. We got a first appearance. We got a couple first appearances here from new characters. This character, the Knife, is actually pretty freaking cool, and some of these pages have some really great artwork that's incredibly dynamic. But overall, the book is just kind of okay. I actually thought it was better than the Timeless series. So yeah, there's a Luke Cage in that reality. He's like the last man alive. He's got the immortal Hulk inside of him. He's got the power of the Iron Fist. He even has the power of the Sentry and the Void. So he's like way OP. And now he's wound up in the proper 616 Marvel Universe. This is his journey. It's a cosmic Luke Cage. It's not bad. Is it needed? Probably not. But it's not bad. Let's jump over to DC, where we have Justice League, The Atom Project, issue number 2. I was really quite impressed with issue number 1, and I'm quite impressed with issue number 2. Atom Project, to me, seemed like something that was maybe necessary to get from point A to point B in the whole Justice League Unlimited, you know, new DCU kind of vibe and flavor, the post-Absolute Power stuff, but I'm still liking the book. Mike Perkins on the artwork. You got Ryan Parrott. You also got John Ridley doing the story, the scripting. Captain Atom has lost his powers. The two Atoms are trying to figure out a way to take powers that were pulled away from people unfairly during the Absolute Power event and give them back to the people that deserve them. You also got a cosmic infused bear in this issue, so that's pretty cool. But I liked it. I did. I liked the exploration on Ray Palmer, and of course Ryan Choi's there as well. But also Nathaniel Adam. Like, I really like this perspective on that character. I like this story. I love how it's connected and tied in and feels essential. But at the same time, it's also a good read. I really like this book. Great characterizations really help excel it to the tip top. Yeah, we'll go with that. We got Absolute Superman issue number 4. This is an alright issue of Absolute Superman. I thought issue 3 was the best so far. Issue number 4 takes a little bit of that momentum away because it kind of is a little bit of a draggy issue. There's not so much Superman action in here, but it's mostly about Lois Lane and her investigating who this new Superman is. I think it's a decent book. The artwork by Rafa Sandoval is amazing. The story by Jason Aaron, though, to me, it's alright. It's a little bit on the nose at certain times, and this issue in particular kind of took too much of a step back. It was building up other characters. You get introduced to who the Absolute Omega Men are, and it's interesting enough, but nothing really pulled me in quite like issue number 3. So I don't think it's the weakest issue of the series yet, but it's just alright. And I'll be honest with y'all, this whole like micro nanotechnology cape thing is for the birds. I think it sucks. I think it's stupid. So there you go. Then we got Batman issue 157, Rejoice. It's the end of Chip Zdarsky's Batman run, which I think has been a very up and down, inconsistent run. This issue proves my point. It's inconsistent artistically because it's drawn by Tony Daniel and Jorge Jimenez, but it keeps going back and forth. Now, there is a structure to the story when the art switches, but it just loses, like, Jorge Jimenez is amazing, and honestly, his artwork here was a little lackluster. It just felt like a lackluster ending to this run. Now, of course, it is setting up the return of Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, so yay, we're getting Hush too. So as much as I can rejoice that Chip Zdarsky's Batman run is over, we're getting a sequel to Hush, which I don't want and didn't ask for, but I know a lot of people want it and have asked for it. So kudos to you. At least Chip is off this book. Detective Comics, way better in my opinion. Then we got Batman Off-World issue number 6. Jason Aaron, Doug Mahnke. It's finally here. It was aight. It's a decent enough ending, but the problem is this book has been so delayed, so late, that I have a major disconnect here. And I'm reading this and I'm like, you know what? The shine and polish of issue number 1 and 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed, that started waning in subsequent issues, especially with the delays. And by the time I get to issue number 6, I feel like I'm reading it just to cross it off the list so I can talk to you about it. But all in all, I wasn't vibing with this book. Way too many delays. And it just didn't work for me, especially halfway through the series and onward. Maybe something I can revisit later on in the future. Probably not. I thought it was just aight. Alright, then we got Batgirl here with issue number 4. I'm still enjoying Batgirl. Cassandra is teaming up with her mother, Lady Shiva. She's got a whole bunch of people after her, Lady Shiva does, and now you have to make unholy alliances. Not just Cassandra with Lady Shiva, but also some of the rest of the members of the Al Ghul family, some of them forgotten about, that say maybe Greg Rucka and Klaus Janson have something to say about, so that's freaking cool. I really like the book. It's got some solid artwork. I think Tate Bromball is doing a great job with the story. I think the action sequences really pop. I love the whole gist of this story. I think Batgirl number 4 was pretty freaking solid. How about Poison Ivy number 30? Poison Ivy number 30 is a flip book. And I guess I knew somewhere in the back of my head there was a flip book coming up for Poison Ivy, but I didn't realize it was going to be this one. So I was rather surprised. I started there. Like, I thought that was cover A. And I'm reading it, and it's a great story about Janet. Like, Janet's this woman who's kind of like crossed paths with Poison Ivy. She's now sleeping with Killer Croc, and she's kind of questioning her place within this whole Poison Ivy narrative, right? But then you get to a point where it starts going upside down and I get confused and I go, what? It's a flip book. The other side of the story is the Poison Ivy side of the story. She's dealing with the ramifications of everything that's happened, and then they meet in the middle. I loved it. I thought it was cool. That gimmick alone was not enough to make it the pick of the week, but this was kind of a light week, but this was a contender for the pick of the week, but I had to give it to Ultimates. But I'll tell you something. I have enjoyed Poison Ivy for 30 issues now. G. Willow Wilson is doing a fantastic job with this character, and the artist, which is Takara. Is it Marcio Takara? Let's go to the middle here. Let's go and make sure I got the... artist right. Yeah, Marcio Takara. I love the art in this book. It's got a great grit and texture to it that I really think works for Poison Ivy, and I freaking loved it. Great cover, too. Not the cover of the week. Then we got JSA here with issue number 4. This was my favorite issue of JSA yet. I was really pumped for Jeff Lemire to come on as the writer of JSA, but I felt like the first 3 issues were very, like, frantic, and we are thrown in the middle of stuff, and there were weird reveals and revelations, and everything happened so quickly and so fast, and, like, if you're not in the know with these characters or this team, like... And they just literally rebuilt this team, so I felt like Jeff Lemire's run needed to start with more of a sturdy foundation and then get crazy. It starts ham. Now we're building that foundation. Now we're doing the character work. Now we're getting into it. But it's basically the Injustice League, or the Injustice Society versus the Justice Society. There were some revelations. Some of that stuff gets course-corrected here in issue number 4. I thought it was a well-paced issue, a big spotlight on the new Dr. Midnight. But all in all, still pretty solid. Let's jump over to Image. And from Image, we have the Rockefellers issue number 3. Another solid issue of the Rockefellers, but just like the issue before, not a lot happens here. Like, issue number 1 was really solid. And issue number 2, it did some really great job. It did a great job with the characterization of these characters, but, like... It didn't really feel like it was moving the story along. The same thing with issue number 3. I feel like we're kind of lingering and holding back. I feel like this book could have a little bit more energy to it, especially with the amazing artwork from Francis Manapul. Now, Francis Manapul's artwork is amazing here, but if you look at his work on other books that he's done, in particular his Flash run, you lose this sense of dynamism, the sense of energy, this kinetic quality that's missing from this book. I love the exploration of these characters. I think Peter J. Tomasi is doing a great job with it. There's some really solid scenes too, and some really great artwork and some great layouts. But the book just kind of like, oh, yep, here they are. Dude's working on an experiment. She's got a job. This kid's thinking about her grandmother. The grandfather has a lot of horny old women after him. That's kind of the vibe of the book. And it's good, and I enjoy it. But this is not the way to grab people's attention, especially when there's so many books out there on the shelves week to week. You gotta grab attention. Now, I like the book. I think it's good, and I think it's given us some really good Fantastic Four type vibes, but I need a little bit more action. I feel like that's going to really help sell this book, and we're not quite getting it. We're building up to it, and I don't want to say the book is a slow burn or anything like that, but it does feel like a lot of character work and not enough action. I think there needs to be a little bit more of a balance there, personally. That being said, a Fantastic Four trailer dropped today. Brought me to tears. One thing that really brought me to tears, first of all, I'm the biggest Fantastic Four fan, you probably know. I was feeling Kirby, 60s space race vibes. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. And before you were invisible, and before Ben was a rock, and when Johnny couldn't catch on fire. Well, Ben's always been a rock. Johnny's Johnny. And I'm right here. That touched me so much. By the way, the cast of the Fantastic Four were here this morning in my town to debut this trailer on Good Morning America there at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and I had no clue. And I got homies that were there. And shame on y'all. Jeremy, Mark, y'all can't let me know? Y'all can't let me know that the Fantastic Four are here? At the Space Center? Like, you can't... Fuck y'all. Alright, then we got the Sacrificers here with issue number 14. Another great issue of the Sacrificers. Rick Remender, Max Fiumara is back on the artwork. We get a look into Soluna and her new job as protecting the latest bit, or the latest batch of sacrificees, I should say. I loved this book. I thought it was great. This book is able to tug at your heartstrings, surprise you, and also at the same time be wonderfully violent and excel as far as the art goes and just the expression of the story. The Sacrificers, once again, slaps. This book is absolutely amazing. If you're not reading this, you're missing one of Rick Remender's best books out there. And if you're not reading Kaya, which is here with issue number 25. Issue number 25 of Kaya. If you're not reading Kaya, you're not reading one of the best comics out there on the shelves. I've said this. I've been hesitantly saying this. I have now confidently started saying this. Kaya is like this generation's Bone. Meaning it's kind of like an almost all ages story that literally works for all ages. If you're a kid, I think a kid will like this book. If you're a young adult or a preteen or a teenager, I think you're going to like this book. If you're an adult or an old man, I think you're going to love this book. This might be, in my opinion, the best work of Wes Craig's career. The art is absolutely fantastic. The coloring is exceptional. The panel composition, the page layouts are dynamic. They are freaking awesome. And the story is great too. And this is a standalone issue setting up a new, very large threat for Kaya and her companions. And I am all here for it. This is such a great book. And we are nearing the end of Kaya. It is revealed at the end of this book, and a little bit of an essay in a letters column, what the plan is going forward. So you kind of get that here. Also, you got a little backup story from Jesse Lonergan, which is freaking amazing. Such a great art, and a super cool dude to hang out with. But Kaya, issue number 25, rocked. All right. Gunslinger Spawn is here with issue number 40. Post-Spawn 350, Gunslinger Spawn went from one of my favorite Spawn books to my least favorite Spawn book. In the last couple of issues, it's brought it back to one of my favorites. This issue is no exception. Most of this issue is Gunslinger Spawn fighting a bear to protect the dog that was trying to protect Gunslinger from the bear. Y'all, I'm a sucker for shit like that. I loved this book. I loved this issue. I thought it was absolutely great. Second issue I read this week involving a bear. There's also an angel there. Gunslinger just recently got his power back and this dude shows up. What's his name? Look at that. I think it's called Godsend. Yeah, Godsend is this dude's name. I don't know if he's appeared before. I'm not super familiar with him. Maybe I should be. But I thought this was a great issue of Spawn. Really solid, or Gunslinger Spawn. And guess what? That cover right there from Marco Faya, that's the cover of the week right there. Really solid stuff. That could be framed on anybody's wall if you don't mind a vulture hanging an eyeball out of its jaw. So cover of the week and another solid issue of Gunslinger Spawn. This one came out last week. I didn't get it until late because Diamond's being Diamond. There's a lot to unpack about Diamond. Once we're back on the track with Rockin' Robbie Live, which is not returning this Sunday, but the following Sunday, the 16th, Rockin' Robbie Live will be back. We can start talking about this stuff, about the Diamond stuff and whatnot. But Mad Cave, last week, had Kill Train issue number 1. I liked the book enough. I liked the concept. It's weird, though, because it's not fully explained. In this reality, somewhere in the future, they have these things called kill trains where every so often they unleash killers on a train to kill a bunch of people. I have no idea why. Population control or something. It's not really given very clearly in the first issue. And most of this first issue is this woman and her sad sack life. And that's fine. But I want to know what's up with the kill train, y'all. I thought it was kind of a weak issue number 1. And if I would have read this last week when it was initially supposed to come out, I would have thought it would have been too close to Blood Train. 2 train-centric horror comics about people getting killed on a train. That's what it is. The concept of the kill train doesn't make any sense to me. It's not elaborated on enough. And the character, it's just not enough to really pull me in. So hopefully issue number 2 comes out on a light week, or I may just be one and done with that one. Then we got Frankenstein New World, The Sea of Forever, issue number 1, written by Mike Mignola, Christopher Golden, and our friend Tom Snagoski. We've had Tom on the channel a few times, talking about books like his upcoming Herculoids and his Vampirella work, and of course his work with Mike Mignola. I love this iteration of the Frankenstein monster. I love this book. The art is super solid. The art is by Peter Birding. I like the art. I like the story. It's been a while since one of these last series, so I'm kind of like lost on, wait, who's this chick and why is she running around with the Frankenstein monster? But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's a really well done comic book, a well told story, great coloring. The coloring is by Michelle Madsen, I believe. Yeah, the colors are great. It's a Mike Mignola influenced book, so it's pretty freaking awesome. So I really liked it. Then we got Living Hell here with issue number 3. I'm very busy this week. I'm getting ready to go to MegaCon tomorrow morning. So I was like, man, let's truncate the weekly comic book review. And then I didn't have to because there just weren't a lot of books out this week, right, that I wanted to read. But this was one that was on the fence for me, but I'm glad that I continued to read it because Living Hell is actually pretty cool. Written and illustrated by Caitlin Yarsky. It's the story of a dude who is an escaped demon, right? And now he's been living as a human, and a bunch of other demons have been living as humans. And now he is tasked with having to kill these demons who have been pretending to be human all this time, including some of his friends and even people maybe closer to home. I love the artwork. I love the story. I love how in-depth the story gets with the characters here in issue number 3. This is definitely something I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Living Hell, issue number 3, was great. All right, from Critical Entertainment. And this might be my first Critical Entertainment book I've read. I'm not sure. It's called The Quarrel. I believe it's a one-shot, and it is written by Mason Mendoza with artwork by Alonso Molina. It is a silent comic, as all comics are, but there's no dialogue, and it's about a bird of prey trying to swoop in and take out a robin or like a little tiny bird or something like that. And it's just an expertly crafted, sequentially story told comic book. Really solid stuff. The artwork is amazing. You will take no time to get through this book, but man, the artwork and just the way that they're telling the story sequentially through a series of images really freaking worked for me. What's the cover price? It's only $2.99. So definitely worth checking out. And I think I need to check out more from Critical Entertainment because this book was top freaking notch. All right. From Oni Press, we got Cruel Kingdom issue number 2. It's another EC book. And Epitaphs from the Abyss, I wasn't really following it. Yeah, I just kind of dropped out. Cruel Universe, their sci-fi book. Epitaphs is their horror book. Cruel Universe is their sci-fi book. Kind of dropped out of it. Cruel Kingdom is their new EC Sword and Sorcery book. And I was really impressed with issue number 1. Like, super impressed. So much I came back for issue number 2. It's alright. It's alright. It's okay. It's not as good as issue number 1. 2 weeks ago, it's like 8 degrees here in my town. Today, it's like 76 degrees. I don't know if my AC is not on, but man, I'm sweating like a stuck pig right now. Cruel Kingdom, though, issue number 2, didn't really work for me. I didn't really like any of these stories. Some solid artwork from PJ Holden, Andrea Muti, and David Lapham, but the stories just didn't really quite do it for me this time. Like, I thought issue number 1 was really solid, but none of these stories really helped seal the deal, so I don't know. Hopefully issue number 3 is going to be better, but once again, I'm kind of on the fence. Also, last week from Keen Spot, my buddy Mark Spears released Mark Spears Monsters issue number 3. Now, I had already read Mark Spears Monsters issue number 3. In fact, I've already read all of them, but he has been doing some changes in the published Keen Spot stuff as opposed to what he was doing when he was doing his Kickstarter. That being said, this is the weakest issue of Monsters so far. There's very little monsters in this book, and trust me, it's all part of the plan. There are some great moments. There's some great leaning more into the G.I. Joe influence stuff, some leaning into the Monster Squad type stuff. There's some great images here, but I'll be honest, this might be the weakest issue of Monsters so far. But it's got some great covers. I had plenty to choose from, and I had to go with the Brides of Dracula cover because you know the only thing I love more about Dracula? How about his big-titted brides? Anyway, also, we got this new collection of comics from Marvel and Penguin. This is the Marvel Comics Marvel Premiere Collection. They're smaller size. They're not completely digest size. They're not like a regular manga size, but they're a little bit bigger. But this week we have Daredevil Born Again and Black Panther One Nation Under Our Feet or something like that, the Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff. So Marvel Premiere Collection has released this, and it's a little bit smaller, which makes it affordable. This is a $15 trade paperback. That this one in particular is what I'm talking about. Has all of Daredevil Born Again, and then has all of the covers, which is not something you typically get in trade paperback collections, then has original layouts and pencils from David Mazzucchelli, and y'all ready for this? It gets even better. How about original script from Frank Miller? That's freaking awesome. $15, Born Again, with more supplemental materials than we've ever gotten. It's a decent price. It's a great size. Here's how it compares to your normal comic. So you can see it's almost the size of a normal comic, but just slightly under. And it's printed on amazing paper quality that really helps that newsprint. Like, the colors that were meant to be on newsprint really helps them pop through. This is what I want, Marvel. This is what I want for collections. And guess what? Yes, it smells like Marvel doing something right. It's the smell of the week. If you smell what Marvel is cooking, and I smell it right now in this Marvel Premiere Collection, please, more of this. Colors accurately represented on the right kind of paper in an affordable edition with tons of bonus features that are not bullshit, but actually worthwhile. You tell me you don't want to see David Mazzucchelli breakdowns and pencils, and you don't want to see a Frank Miller script? Get the fuck out of here if you think that. Anyway, so to recap, Daredevil, Born Again, Marvel Premiere Collection, gets the smell of the week. Mark Spears' Monsters came out last week. The weakest issue, but trust me, there's a plan, and it's all going somewhere. Cruel Kingdom, cruelly, was not that great. The Quarrel was amazing. I think I need to check out more work from Critical Entertainment. Living Hell is better than you think. You need to check it out. Frankenstein, New World, The Sea of Forever, really solid Mike Mignola comics. Kill Train, a little weak in concept, a little boring in character development. Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 40, cover of the week, and another solid issue. Kaya continues to prove why Kaya is amazing. Sacrificers continues to prove why Sacrificers is amazing. Rockefellers is a really solid book that just really needs to kick it up just a little bit. And if issue number 4 is not some kind of like crazy dynamic issue, you're going to lose a lot of people. JSA, best issue yet, but still maybe a little too late for that. Poison Ivy, Flip Edition, issue number 30, was amazing. Batgirl was super solid. Batman Offworld was an okay ending, but the book's been so delayed, I'm kind of disconnected from it. Batman 157, it's the end of Chip Zdarsky's run. Hooray! I'm so glad it's over, y'all. Absolute Superman was okay. Not as good as issue number 3, but still decently solid. Justice League The Atom Project is better than I anticipated it being. So is Power Man Timeless. I actually enjoyed that comic. Star Wars Legacy of Vader sucked. Star Wars, you Star Wars people out there, like, good luck. Good luck with that. But the pick of the week goes to the Ultimates because of the use of the character, the use of the thematics, and the use of the 9-panel grid. Dennis Camp, you're doing an amazing job. Ultimates number 9, pick of the week. That's what I read. That's what I thought. That's what I'm digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. And I will be at MegaCon this week. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'll get there Wednesday night. Meet us at Twin Peaks. If you want to buy my dinner, send a PayPal donation to contact420@gmail.com. Once again, if you want to buy me dinner or a drink for MegaCon, send PayPal money, contact 420@gmail.com, or on Cash App, $Robbie Bills. That's ROBBIE BILLZ. But all the support we need is a like, share, subscribe, and join the conversation. Comment down below. Thank you all so much for checking out the video. Station, keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom. Suck it.